As college football opens this weekend, Walters will have every big game on one of their TVs, both inside and out. On Saturday, Texas, Ohio State at noon, Alabama, Florida State at 3:30, LSU, Clemson, 7:30 on Saturday night. Walters is the official bar of the Nats Chat podcast and located across the street from the ballpark.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Now the pitch, swing and a long drive, right center field. Cruz going back, way back, watching it go, and it is gone. Goodbye. Ryan McMahon hits his second home run in pinstripes. He hit 16 with the Rockies this year. It's the 3rd home run of the inning for the Yankees, and their 4th home run of the day. And this is a monster inning for the Yankees. 7 runs home now. It's New York 8 and Washington nothing. And that will be all for Cade Cavalli.
The pitch. Swing a ground ball right side. Chopped to 2 Hopper to Chisholm, the second baseman. An underhand toss to first. Ends the game and the series. 11-2 the final. The Yankees sweep it. They dominate the Nationals. Outscoring them 26-8. And the series sweep. Today the Bronx Bombers banged out 6 home runs in a game that was never close.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. My usual co-host, MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman. He is off for this installment of the podcast, but I'm pleased to be joined by the creator and executive producer of the Nats Chat podcast, Tim Shovers. Rock bottom is an interesting concept. You know, there's a saying in sports that you should never say that you've reached rock bottom because things can always get worse. Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo, during his post-game session with reporters on Wednesday afternoon, insisted that the Nats have not reached rock bottom.
Rock bottom. You know, we've been playing really good. Just because we lost against the Yankees, I don't mean that we hit rock bottom.
They have, though, reached a new low point in MLB's 2025 regular season. 27 games below 500, 53-80 now is the record. Worst record in the National League East, second worst record in the National League. And the Nats run differential now is at minus 171, second worst run differential in the National League. If that's not rock bottom, that certainly is not a very good place. Wednesday afternoon, an 11-2 loss at the New York Yankees to complete a 3-game sweep. This was a game in which the Nats allowed 9 runs in the bottom of the third, during which Nats pitchers totaled a staggering 77 pitches. This was a game in which the Nats got out-homered 6-1, concluding a series in which the Nats got out-homered 10-2. The Nats and Yankees, each team has played 133 games in this regular season. The Yankees have 99 more home runs than the Nats have. The Nats have 126 homers. The Yankees have an MLB best 225 homers. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. So the Nats on Wednesday afternoon concluded this daunting 13-game stretch against the National League East leading Philadelphia Phillies, the New York Mets, and the New York Yankees. Tim, the Nats over the first 8 games of that stretch went 5-3. Things were looking pretty good. But the Nats ended up losing each of the last 5 games of the stretch, and this 3-game series at the Yankees was rather rough.
It was extremely rough, and it was really embarrassing. You know, all forms of entertainment in this country, you're judged by how you do when you get up to the bright lights of New York, and the Nats fell all over themselves this week. I will say, though, in a little bit of defense to the Nats, and we beat them up here, of course, a lot here on this podcast, Lord was kind of due for a bad outing. Cavalli was kind of due for a bad outing. The Yankees have to win every single day. They're in a tight race. If you're the Yankees, you want to sweep the hapless last place Nats. And the Yankees are a home run hitting team in a home run hitting ballpark. All recipes for disaster for the Nationals.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that instead of getting caught up in the emotion of the ugliness of the game on Wednesday afternoon, what you say is, all right, this 13-game stretch, the Nats actually were doing all right during it, end up going 5-8 during it. That's nothing to hang a banner for, but we did see some good things during the stretch. We overall, over the last few weeks, have seen some decent things here from the Nats. And in this lost season, I think what you say is 29 games left. Can you keep the embarrassing losses to a minimum And can you make it so that we do get the encouraging performances from the potential young building blocks? And that really is what this is all about. There are going to be ugly losses here moving forward, okay? This is not a good team. This has been a debacle of a season. There probably will be more losses like the one that we saw on Wednesday afternoon. We've seen plenty of those already this season. I think in a lot of ways we're becoming numb to them, right? But the idea is, can the young building blocks, the guys who can be pieces here moving forward, play well as the season goes on? Now, in this series, you didn't really get a whole lot of the young building blocks performing well. So this does end up being a disappointing series, but this is going to happen. I mean, this is not a good team. This is a season that has been extremely disappointing. And like you said, you're facing a team that's in playoff contention. You're playing in what is a bandbox of a ballpark. And the Yankees, who hit homers, destroyed the Nats in this series when it came to the home run. Now, it is interesting with the starting pitching. The Nats go into this series, each of their three best current active Major League starting pitchers pitching in the series, and all three disappointed to varying degrees. Brad Lord in Game 1, Mackenzie Gore in Game 2, and Cade Cavalli in this Game 3. 8 runs, 7 earned in 2 1/3 innings on Wednesday afternoon. He gave up 8 hits, which were 4 home runs, a double and 3 singles. He issued a walk and a hit by pitch, recorded 4 strikeouts, threw 76 pitches, 48 strikes, 28 balls. It was interesting what happened with Cavalli in the bottom of the first. He allowed a run, could have allowed a lot more. He gave up a leadoff homer by Trent Grisham to right field for a 1-0 Yankees lead. Although right fielder Dylan Cruz nearly made an incredible leaping home run robbing catch, and the homer per StatCast had a projected distance of just 334 feet. So you don't kill Cavalli for that homer. He did then give up 2 singles sandwiched around a hit by pitch to load the bases with no outs, but he then got 3 consecutive outs, including back-to-back swinging strikeouts of the Yankees' numbers 5 and 6 batters in Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Jason Dominguez. So bottom of the first puts a lot of guys on, but escapes only allowing the 1 run. But bottom of the third, everything fell apart. Cavalli in that inning, 7 runs, 6 earned, gave up 3 home runs, including a 1-out full count 3-run homer by Ryan McMahon to right field for an 8-0 Yankees lead. And that was it. Cade Cavalli ended up getting pulled from the game, and he ended up having a blow-up start. 8 runs, 7 earned in 2 1/3 innings.
This was a really rough one for him. As I kind of pointed to, I'm giving him a mulligan on this one. He has this next go around next week, a little bit of a different conversation. I'm sure that right when Grisham hit that home run off the bat and you have the worst start possible, he probably was on his back foot all day and hard to improve. And another disappointing thing with him is to get pulled so early. It's one thing to flop, but it's another thing to not even make it to 4 or 5 innings. So it puts bullpen in a tough spot, even though Thursday's an off day.
Cavalli ended up pitching 3 times during this 13-game stretch. He pitched well 2 out of the 3 times. The 2-0 win over the Philadelphia Phillies at Nationals Park on August 16th, 7 scoreless innings, 5 strikeouts, no walks. The 5-4 win at the Phillies this past Friday evening, 3 runs in 6 innings, and he in the game allowed 1 run in 5 2/3 innings before giving up a 2-out 2-run homer by Bryson Stott to tie the game at 3. So I think with Cavalli, it's kind of like with the Nats overall. Like you said, bit of a mulligan start on Wednesday afternoon. You can go ahead and say that. Cavalli still, since being recalled from AAA Rochester on August 6th, way more good than bad during this 13-game stretch. More good than bad. 2 good outings to 1 bad outing. And, this is kind of how you have to approach things here. You have to grade on a curve with the way that this Nats season is going. And the key here for Cavalli clearly is don't let what happened on Wednesday afternoon be what happens moving forward. Cavalli was not having a good season at AAA Rochester. I think we all sort of thought that an outing like Wednesday afternoon could be the norm for him upon being promoted from Rochester a few weeks ago. The fact that the exact opposite has been the norm has been really encouraging. So he has a bad outing on Wednesday afternoon. You hope like heck that's not a sign of things to come, because he has been such a bright spot here in recent weeks. Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation. Labor Day is coming. Summer is winding down in the Washington, D.C. area. Your air conditioning is working overtime, just trying to keep your house and you cool and comfortable. What can you do to make a difference? Well, you can replace your old or builder-grade windows with windows from Window Nation. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the following deal that you're about to hear about here on the Nats Chat podcast. This month only, you can schedule a consult and get 50% off all window styles. Plus, you could even get your windows with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. 866-90Nation or windownation.com. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Ogasawara delivers, swing and a long drive by Wells. This is deep. This is way back. Cruises at the fence. This ball is gone. Goodbye. About 6 rows deep in straightaway right field. Austin Wells with his 18th home run of the year. And the home run parade for the Yankees continues. That is their 6th home run of the afternoon. And it's now New York 11 and Washington nothing.
A positive for the Nats on Wednesday afternoon, at least somewhat, was the bullpen. 5 Nats relievers combined to allow 3 runs in 5 2/3 innings, but the last 4 of the relievers combined for 4 scoreless innings. Shinnosuke Ogasawara allowed 3 runs in 1 2/3 innings. He gave up 2 homers and 2 singles and issued 2 walks, did record 3 strikeouts, but the rest of the Nats bullpen was really good. P.J. Poulin tossed a scoreless bottom of the 5th, despite giving up a 1-out single and then issuing a 1-out walk. Jose A. Ferrer tossed a perfect bottom of the 6th. Connor Pilkington tossed a perfect bottom of the 7th. And Jackson Rutledge tossed a perfect bottom of the 8th with 2 strikeouts. But I mentioned Shinnosuke Ogasawara, so he actually batted in this game. Drew Millas, as the Nats starting catcher and number 7 batter, went 0 for 1. Left the game after suffering a fracture and dislocation of his left second finger and getting called for catcher's interference during that Yankees 9-run third. Riley Adams was serving as the Nats DH and number 3 batter. He got moved to being their catcher, but the Nats, in doing this, forfeited the DH for the rest of the game. So Shinnosuke Ogasawara came up to bat. He had a feeble plate appearance. He struck out on 3 pitches, all called strikes, for the 2nd out in the top of the 5th. But then Miguel Cairo replaced Ogasawara with reliever P.J. Poulin to begin the bottom of the 5th. And Tim, we all were wondering, why the heck didn't Cairo pinch hit for Ogasawara? That just made no sense. The other question here is Drew Millas. Could he be done for the season? Cairo, during his post-game session with reporters, did not dismiss that. You know, you see this injury, fracture and dislocation of his left second finger. That does not sound like something that'll be healing anytime soon.
No. So let's get to Millas first, and then I'll get to Ogasawara's plate appearance. The way Cairo answered, and I'll play it right here.
How's your catcher, the one that hurt his hand?
He got broken finger index. I feel bad for him because he was playing good and he was hitting really good too and catching good too. So it's a bad news.
Is he out for the year?
We're just gonna right now. He got a fracture, so we just gotta see how long he's gonna go see the doctor over there at home.
Yes, that's Bill Ladson for you diehard Nats fans. His voice in the background there in the postgame clubhouse asking the question. To me, gut feel sounds like we're not seeing Millas for a while, if not for the rest of the season. So what does that mean for catcher moving forward come this weekend? The options aren't great. Looking at AAA, Francisco Mejia and CJ Stubbs. Mejia's OPS this year is .509, and Stubbs' OPS this year is .519. So I don't know much about the fielding. That's just the crash course that I've learned about them. So we'll see what happens here. My guess is they'll bring up one of them instead of a waiver wire guy in the next few days. And I don't think Caleb Lamavita is going to jump all the way up from single A basically to the majors here. To Ogasawara hitting in the 5th, the Masson broadcast did say he had 3 hits last year with his Japanese team. So he has hit before, 3 for 36. But yeah, Al, this was just, to me, just a mental mistake by Miguel Cairo. If he's not pitching, you have plenty of bats sitting there waiting to go out there and get hacks, including some young guys. And I thought it was just a simple mistake from Cairo, and that he got caught flat-footed in the unexpected development is my guess.
So Masson, during its post-game show, seemingly did not run the entirety of Miguel Cairo's post-game session with reporters. What was run did not include any question/answer about why Cairo did not pinch hit for Shinnosuke Ogasawara. I don't know if Cairo got asked about that and we just didn't see that, or if Cairo did not get asked about that. But just in the moment, it made no sense. I mean, it's one thing if Ogasawara is staying in the game. Okay, fine, have him hit. It's a blowout loss, whatever. But for Ogasawara to get pulled to begin the bottom of the fifth and you have him bat in the top of the fifth, and like I said, I mean, that plate appearance was an embarrassment, just did not make any sense. As for the Nats offense overall in this 11-2 loss at the Yankees on Wednesday afternoon, the Nats scored just 2 runs, a total just 6 hits, worked just 2 walks, and went just 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. The 6 hits were a home run, a double, and 4 singles. Yankee starting pitcher Max Fried had his way with the Nats, 1 run in 7 innings. The Nats home run in this game came from Andres Chaparro. He is the Nats starting first baseman and number 6 batter, 1 for 3 with a solo homer and a walk. James Wood, he is the Nats starting left fielder and number 1 batter, 2 for 4 with a double and a single. C.J. Abrams, he is the Nats starting shortstop and number 2 batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI single. But, you know, if Drew Millas is out for an extended period of time, if not the rest of this season, that is a blow to the Nats offensively. And I know that may sound odd, but Millas had been hitting well, right? We've talked about the offensive production that the Nats had been getting from Millas and Riley Adams in that timeshare at catcher. Millas, for this regular season at the major league level, 55 plate appearances, OPS of 807. And, you know, it's a funny deal what happened with the Nats having to forfeit the DH spot. The Nats actually got victimized by Riley Adams being so good. You don't normally have both of your catchers in your lineup, but because each guy has been hitting, Cairo understandably had both Adams and Millas in the lineup. Adams as a DH, Millas as the catcher. Millas gets injured. You do the obvious thing of moving Adams out of the DH spot to fill in for Millas at catcher, but yeah, you do end up forfeiting the DH spot for the rest of the game. So, you know, you talk about like everything going wrong for the Nats this season, seemingly. Like there's a microcosm of that where you do what makes sense. You play both Adams and Millas because both guys are hitting and the Nats are in dire need of all the offense they can get. But because Millas gets injured in the game and it happens relatively early in the game, you end up having to forfeit that DH spot for the rest of the game. But yeah, just not enough offense in this game, not enough offense in this series, and getting out-homered like the Nats did. I mean, the Yankees are an elite home run hitting team. The Nats are a bad home run hitting team. But man, was that a big-time discrepancy in this series. The Yankees for the series totaling 10 homers to the Nats 2.
I do wonder how much Davey Martinez is paying attention to the rest of this season on his own, because I wonder if he had a wry smile pop on his face with the very situation you talked about where your backup catcher for the day is the DH, because for a long time we were complaining, why isn't Riley Adams getting more at bats? Why isn't he DHing? Why is he just sitting on the bench 4 out of every 5 days, or sometimes 5 out of 5 days behind Cade Ruiz? And one of the reasons would be because what if my starting catcher gets hurt and you have a hole at DH? So, Davey Martinez, shout out to you if you were paying attention to this game.
Well, we have not heard one word from Davey Martinez since he got fired on July 6th. We have heard from Mike Rizzo. We have not heard at all from Davey Martinez. And I've wondered if/when we'll hear from Davey Martinez. I mean, at some point, he's going to speak publicly in some way. What you see a lot of times be the case is a guy who gets fired shows up on MLB Network a few months later as like a one-day analyst or something like that, a guest analyst, let's say. And that becomes his forum for his first public word since being dismissed. I wonder if we might see something like that with Davey Martinez. But as far as I know, he has not done any interviews. He has not spoken publicly to any extent since he got fired. It's kind of interesting that we have not seen that.
Keep Walters in mind if you're looking for a place to book a private event in D.C. Visit waltersdc.com/private events for more information.
Now the 1-1. Swing a long drive left field. Way back there. And this one is gone into the second deck. The former Yankee farmhand, Andres Chaparro, just smoked a home run down the left field line into the second deck for his first in the big leagues this year. It's 11-2 Yankees, but for Chaparro, a nice moment as he homers against the Yankees for the second year in a row.
This series ends up being rough. we thought at least one of these series against the Phillies, Mets, and Yankees could be rough, it does end up being this series against the Yankees. The Nats for the series get outscored at 26-8. Next up for the Nats is a 6-game homestand, 3 games against the Tampa Bay Rays this weekend, followed by 3 games against the Miami Marlins. On paper, a manageable homestand, but we have said that kind of thing before, and the Nats have not done well, so who knows what to expect here. Also, there is the weird thing of the Nats having been better on the road this season as compared to at home. Now, it's interesting what the Nats are doing from a starting pitching standpoint in this upcoming series against the Rays at Nationals Park. So game 1 Friday evening at 6:45, Mitchell Parker will be the Nats starting pitcher. There had been some thought that the Nats with the off day on Thursday might skip Parker's turn in the rotation with him struggling so much, but he is making that start. Game 2 Saturday afternoon, 4:05, Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 1:35, Brad Lord will be the Nats starting pitcher. What do you think about the Nats not skipping Mitchell Parker?
Well, how off the top, I was like, I get it. I understand. Bad day on Wednesday, off day Thursday. We'll get back at it on Friday. I do not feel this way about the decision to start both Parker and Irvin. You have been given a gift with the day off. Skip one of them. Have Parker rest and Irvin start on Friday and Lord start on Saturday and Gore start on Sunday. It's a freebie to skip a start without having to send either guy down to AAA or humiliate them. It's a microcosm of how this team is so rigid and so refuses to think outside the box. Just think about all those years with Patrick Corbin, how it's just every fifth day, instead of giving him a start off, trying him out of the bullpen. So this sort of thing really rankles me out.
I wonder if this is just them saying, Mitch, Jake, you got to work your ways out of these ruts that you guys are in. And if you don't, then things are going to be a lot different moving forward. I wonder if that's Mike DiBartolo just saying, we're giving you guys every opportunity to fix yourselves here, because if you don't, things are going to be a lot different next season. Now, of course, we don't know that Mike DiBartolo is going to be in charge come next season, but I wonder if that is at all the thinking here of, A, we don't have many good options, although at this point, I don't accept that as an excuse. But B, it's kind of like Irvin and Parker, this is your last stand. And that's the thing. It could be. We don't know what things are going to look like, but especially with Irvin, who for a third season now has been a mainstay in the major league rotation, I don't know how many more opportunities he's going to get here. I think there is a reality of there's only so much you can do come the offseason, and unless they're going to be bringing in a bunch of new starting pitchers, chances are someone like a Parker or an Irvin will be a part of the rotation, at least at the beginning of next regular season. But, Parker and Irvin have been so bad here, you cannot assume anything with them moving forward, and that the only thing I could think of was maybe it's just like, hey, we got, 1 month left. You guys got to fix yourselves, and if you don't, then, see you later. And if you do, then good for you. But yeah, it is unfortunate that the two guys who have been, it feels like automatic losses here lately, are your game 1 and game 2 starters for this 3-game set against the Rays. Mitchell Parker in game 1, Jake Irvin in game 2.
The thing is, though, is that I'm on Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker's side. I want to fix them. And to me, a big part of it is a day off and some time off and some reflection and time for your arm to heal and all of those things. So I hear what you're saying, and I'm not arguing with you. I mean, we're speaking the same language here. I'm just saying that, like, if that's Mike DiBartolo's opinion of tough luck, guys, best of luck on Friday, like, that's small time thinking, in my opinion.
The other thought I had is, we don't know if any of these guys have workload limits for this season. So especially a Cade Cavalli, especially a Brad Lord, I don't know if maybe the thinking here is if we give everyone an extra day off, which is what the case will be with the off day on Thursday, if that helps to get, say, a Cavalli and or a Lord through the end of the season. And I wonder if maybe that is what this is about more than anything to do with Irvin and Parker. We don't know. The notion of a workload limit has never been addressed. And as far as I know, that's not something that has been asked of Miguel Cairo or Mike DiBartolo. I actually would be interested to hear at least one guy answer that of, is anyone in the rotation on some kind of a workload limit, and might that impact what we see from a starting pitching standpoint the rest of the way here? The other thing is Josiah Gray. We're about to go into September. It was supposed to be in September that we might see Josiah Gray pitch in a game or two at the major league level. The last we heard, it's going to be close, and it's not a certainty. And I do think it would be disappointing not to see him. I don't know that not seeing him necessarily is indicative of anything in terms of like his future. One or two starts, big picture, what is that going to do? But psychologically, man, this guy was a key piece of the rotation 2 years ago, and has been viewed as a building block, has been viewed as someone who could be a key piece of Nats rotations for years to come. I think we all would agree we'd like to see him pitch in a game or two before the end of the season. I'm sure he would like to pitch in a game or two before the end of the season. But we're not hearing a lot right now about Josiah Gray, and it feels like it's going to be close, and it feels like it is far from a certainty that we'll be seeing Gray pitch before the end of the year.
We're not hearing a lot about Gray. It's to the point where why aren't we hearing more about Gray? And something seems up here, Al. And I know they pushed back a few months and that April's not the real date. You kind of have to look at it for June or July whenever they decided to go under the knife and actually have the surgery. But on top of everything else this year, it's a real shame that we are probably not going to get one inning of Josiah Gray all of 2025.
Yeah, so he underwent the surgery July 24th, 2024. So he actually underwent it in late July 2024. And remember, he didn't just undergo Tommy John surgery. He also underwent an internal brace procedure on his right UCL. Now, the saying at the time, what we were told at the time, was that him having both of those procedures wasn't going to make his recovery longer. But of course, what you're told then and what could be the case now could be two different things. And everyone heals differently from these things. So, maybe it is taking him longer than anticipated to come back from, again, not just Tommy John surgery, but also an internal brace procedure on his right UCL. But that would be something to look forward to, Josiah Gray pitching in the month of September. Until then, it looks like the Nats are rolling with the likes of Mitchell Parker, Jake Irvin, and then the three guys who had been doing well but did not do well in this series, Brad Lord, Mackenzie Gore, and Cade Cavalli. 29 games left. Thursday is August 28th. The last day of the MLB regular season is September 28th. So exactly 1 month until the end here. We talk about rock bottom, and it is a funny thing. You're almost always afraid to say rock bottom because things can always get worse. The hope is that they get better. And what I just hope is this. Yes, 5-game losing streak. Yes, really rough series at the Yankees. But don't let that be the narrative the rest of the way here. The Nats were doing some good things prior to these last 5 games. And if we can see more of what we were seeing prior to the 5-game losing streak for this next month, then that's good. I think most people would feel a lot better about the situation if we saw that the rest of the way here. The concern would be that more things like what we saw over these 3 games at the Yankees could be coming.
I'm going to talk about Bill Ladson as if he's still part of the greater Nats core here. He asked a question.
May I ask, have this team hit rock bottom, and what do you do to get out of it?
Rock bottom. We've been playing really good. Just because we lost against the Yankees, I don't mean that we hit rock bottom. But we got a really good team, and they've been playing their butt off. It's no rock bottom here.
I respect him having the cojones to ask that question to Miguel Cairo, but following this team day to day, there's a different day that I would have asked that question. And even though they got swept and they have a 5-game losing streak, it isn't rock bottom. Things have been more rock bottom this season than late August.
Yeah, you could argue July 6th was rock bottom. When you in the middle of a rebuild fire your head of baseball operations and fire your manager, that is as bad as rock bottom gets, because that's an admission that your rebuild is not working. And that to me has been the storyline since then. Is this rebuild salvageable, or is this rebuild a lost cause? We're still trying to figure that out. What we saw prior to the 5-game losing streak suggested that the rebuild is fixable, is salvageable. What we saw on Wednesday afternoon suggested something very different. But it is 1 game, more games to come. 3 games set against the Rays this weekend at Nationals Park. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website you could check out too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Tim Shovers, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
The 0-1. Stubbs, it's a high fly ball the other way to deep right field. Workman back in right center. This carries out of here. Stubbs' first Red Wings homer goes the other way out of here to right center. 4-2 Toledo. Christian Franklin led off the first with a home run. And now Stubbs leads off the third with a homer.